Welcome to the Burlington Housing Authority's Housing Choice Voucher Program. After completing this briefing, you will receive your voucher and can begin looking for a home. Our goal is to assist you in obtaining affordable housing that is safe, decent, and sanitary. The Housing Choice Voucher Program is a rent subsidy program designed for you to choose a home in the private rental market and receive rental assistance for a portion of your rent. If you are receiving a project-based voucher, your subsidy is tied to your unit, meaning your home has already been identified and you have been approved to live there. Your voucher is your authorization to search for housing and an agreement between you and the Public Housing Authority. It also indicates the number of bedrooms you qualify for. Once you find housing, the Burlington Housing Authority will need to determine if the unit is affordable. This will happen when you submit a request for tenancy approval form, as filled out by the landlord or property manager of the unit. Once the unit is approved and passes inspection, you'll enter into a lease agreement with the landlord and pay them your portion of the rent each month. Meanwhile, the Housing Authority will enter into an agreement with the landlord so that we can issue our portion of your rent payment to them directly. In your briefing packet, you'll find a mandatory list of family obligations. It is important that you follow these closely so that you are not at risk of program termination. Some of these responsibilities include: you must report any changes to your household income or family composition within 10 business days by completing an interim recertification packet and providing verifications. You must abide by the conditions of the lease agreement and keep the unit in the condition that it was when it passed inspection. You and your guests must refrain from any criminal activity. You must pay your portion of the rent every month. You cannot allow anyone to live with you without prior approval from your landlord and the Housing Authority. You cannot let a guest stay with you longer than your lease allows or the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Typically, it is no more than 14 days. In the briefing packet, you'll find the mandatory list of owner obligations. Some of these owner obligations include maintaining the unit in accordance with housing quality standards, complying with fair housing laws, abiding by the Housing Assistance Payment Contract and Tenancy Addendum, enforcing the lease agreement with the tenant. Once you've completed today's briefing and you've received your voucher, you can begin your search for housing. When you find a home, you'll work with the owner or landlord to complete the request for tenancy approval form. The unit will then need to be inspected to ensure that it meets housing quality standards. Once it passes inspection, you will sign the lease and move in. The HUD-required tenancy addendum must be a part of your lease. The voucher is your authorization to search for housing. It specifies the unit size for which you qualify and includes the date of the voucher issuance and the date of expiration. You have 90 days to find a home. If you do not find one within the initial 90 days, you can fill out a request for extension form. For an explanation of what voucher size you qualify for, see the subsidy standards section in your briefing packet. You can lease a home anywhere inside the Burlington Housing Authority's jurisdiction, and you may be eligible to lease outside of our jurisdiction. If you choose to live inside our jurisdiction, there are areas known as high opportunity neighborhoods that offer benefits such as high-performing schools, close proximity to jobs, grocery stores, retail stores, transportation, and healthcare services. A current map of Burlington Housing Authority's jurisdiction is available in the briefing packet you have received, along with a list of towns in our jurisdiction. If you choose to live somewhere outside our jurisdiction, you may be eligible to port your voucher to another BHA. This is called portability. To port your voucher to another jurisdiction, you must notify BHA that you would like to port and to which jurisdiction you would like to move. Please be aware that the BHA you wish to relocate to may have different policies in screening, subsidy standards, payment standards, and other elements which may affect your family's assistance. Please see your briefing packet for more information on how portability works. Searching for a home can be a daunting task. In your briefing packet, we offer some helpful resources to assist you along the way. When you find a home you would like to rent, and the landlord agrees to rent to you, the next step is for the landlord to complete the request for tenancy approval form and submit it to Burlington Housing Authority. Your caseworker at BHA will determine that the rent is affordable and reasonable and will then schedule an inspection. Please note, the Housing Choice Voucher Program cannot pay any application fees, holding fees, or deposits. Before you sign a lease, the unit must pass an HQS inspection conducted by Burlington Housing Authority. Do not sign or date the lease until you know the unit has passed. No rental assistance can be paid before that date. Once the request for tenancy approval form is complete, the Housing Authority determines that the rent amount is reasonable and the unit has passed inspection. It is time to sign the lease and move in. The lease is a binding contract between you and the landlord. Both you and the landlord are required to follow the terms of the lease and the HUD Tenancy Addendum. VAWA stands for the Violence Against Women Act, an act of Congress that provides protections for victims of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and/or stalking. VAWA protections are available equally to all individuals, regardless of sex, gender identity, or sexual orientation. If you qualify for assistance under the Housing Choice Voucher Program, you cannot be denied assistance, terminated from the program, or evicted from your rental housing because you are or have been a victim of domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking. For more information, please look over the VAWA paperwork in your briefing packet. Even if it is legal to possess and cultivate marijuana under Vermont state law, it is not legal under federal law for renters in the Section 8 voucher program. Therefore, you cannot possess or smoke marijuana if you are receiving federal rental assistance. Before we end, please make note of the Burlington Housing Authority's logo. If you have received this logo on mail, know that the mail is very important. If you do not understand something you have received from the Burlington Housing Authority in the mail, please take it to someone who can explain it to you. Or you can always bring the mail to our office and we'll be happy to go over it with you. We are now at the end of this presentation. Please contact BHA within 2 business days to receive your voucher. If there is anything you didn't understand, please feel free to watch again or ask your BHA caseworker. We are glad that you are part of the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Let's all work together to make it a long, friendly, and fruitful relationship.